Back in Pasadena for Lightbox Expo. It's a convention for illustrators and artists of all different types of genres. Let's walk every single aisle, look at all the artwork, and figure out who is Lightbox Expo designed for. Is it for students, vendors, illustrators to get hired? When you fill an expo center full of a ton of the world's most talented illustrators, who's the customer? Who's supposed to come here? Is it to sell prints, get hired by a studio, find that next client, or if you're the customer, get your portfolio book reviewed? I'm a little bit confused. I want to figure out who Lightbox Expo is perfect for.
The first thing about Lightbox Expo that really caught my attention is how they use the hallways with just tons of tutorials and creative spaces.
I've done several events at the Pasadena Convention Center, but I've never seen an event where so many people are hanging out in the hallways, doing classes, and there's just tons of people everywhere just sketching, feeling inspired by all the artwork that they've seen.
Imagine the liberation that you must feel when there's 20 other weirdos that care about brushes in your favorite app just like you do. Because I'm a firm believer in being the underdog, and I've worked enough events where I got the shit space, let's start in the very back corner and show some love to the Bad Booth Barrio.
One thing's for certain, there is a ton of illustration talent here. But how do you stick out when you're amongst all the best? And it seems like there's a lot of trends going on. A lot of artists doing the exact same thing, which makes me wonder, how do you get hired when everybody else is awesome?
We have reached destination nowhere, the very back corner of Lightbox Expo. Let's work our way down each and every aisle and see what catches our attention. In my career as an illustrator, printmaker, I have easily done over, I'm going to guess, 250, 300 days of vending, easy. And you have to kind of have an intention of who is your customer. So if you're at Lightbox Expo, are you trying to appeal to consumers like this booth does? Baby Tattoo, which essentially set up a small store for the weekend, selling books, tiki mugs. It's not to say that this wouldn't get you hired for illustration gigs, but it might tell people that you're way more retail based. You always have to remember that clients only see what's in front of them. Very few clients can look at one project and connect the dots, how you could do something very differently for them. A feature that makes Lightbox Expo different than other events is portfolio reviews. And look at the line. Folks lined up with their books, with their dreams, hoping to get a little bit of insight on how to further their career. If you do go to Lightbox Expo for a portfolio review, I would say not only bring your best work, but bring your patience, because it's not going to go fast. Here's where the line snakes over to the other side of the back corner. One aisle down, let's take out another. Standing at the far end of an aisle gives you the scope of just how packed this event was midday on Saturday. No doubt about it, Lightbox Expo did a great job of bringing in folks, but the thing that kept crossing my mind from a former vendor is how do these people relate to your booth? If you were to sign up for Lightbox Expo, what would your intention be? I love this woman just putting in some work time. She knows how to grind. No customers, no worries. I'm just going to keep on working. I learned a long time ago, just because an event's crowded doesn't mean that it's successful. Successful for the promoters? Yes, of course. But successful for you and your intentions? Not always. Some booths were kind of lounges. I bet her camera didn't get blurry like mine did. But you could see people hanging out, having meetings, reviewing their portfolios. So portfolio review's good if you're a student wanting to get work, or a studio or a client trying to hire folks. But if you're going there to vend and people are looking to get hired, that creates a complication for some folks. This part's shameless. That's my bud Jared. We do a podcast together, Disneyland for Designers. You should listen to it. He does amazing work for Disney. I enjoyed the social aspect, though, of seeing people hanging out, talking to the consumers. I just was very curious how many of them were frustrated they weren't selling more to offset their expenses, and how many of them were maybe getting annoyed that the customers, instead of buying or asking about their artwork, were asking about how can they get hired, how can they replicate their success. I found this booth right here to stand out a lot, which I can't say for all booths because a lot of the artwork felt very similar to one another. Almost as if there's only 4 or 5 different styles that everybody seems to be pursuing at the same time. Procreate was a massive sponsor, and I can say the Procreate app is fantastic. I highly recommend Procreate if you're an iOS illustrator. These guys love Star Wars and potato chips. Speaking of Star Wars, saw a lot of it. Sculptors have a competitive edge on getting attention because after seeing print and print over and over again, something that's physical and tactile really gets your attention. But does it get you hired? Who's looking for sculpture work? If you're going to get that work anywhere, Los Angeles is the place to be. And Los Angeles has to be a part of the draw of this convention, that if you're an out-of-town illustrator, you are coming to the heart of the entertainment industry. You are coming to a city and a market that hires creatives of all walks of life. Living here for the last 6.5 years, I have friends that do just about anything you can imagine in the world of creativity. I love this guy's chiseled style. Hey, ladies. See that glare? That's why you never print your stuff in gloss. Always go matte, John. Always go matte. John, an award winner. I don't know about you, but I love a good booth cuddle. Scary monster. For this particular show, I found the giant postcard-style banner behind your booth to be extremely efficient on establishing out of the gate what your name is and what your main style is. Which, as we get to the halfway mark in the main convention room, I think you're starting to get a scope of how much talent is under this roof and what you need to do to stand out. I spoke with a creative director that was in from Chicago, and I asked, when so much of the artwork looks similar, how do you decide who you would be interested in hiring? And he had a very quick answer. He said, it's easy. It's whoever seems the nicest and easiest to get along with. So I do think customer service is something you should pack in your bag. Here's that Procreate Creative Lounge that was in dead center of the auditorium. Fun to see so many people getting their hands dirty and drawing. I even saw 2 of the cops that were there to keep us safe doing a little bit of illustrating themselves. Cop drawings matter. This booth did something very interesting. They pushed their back wall closer to their table, creating more intimacy with their customers, and their banners designed to look like a shop. Even though that's a small booth, it just felt very interactive. That type of creativity might be your competitive edge and getting noticed. Here we see a couple of Marvel Studio guys. If anybody knows Andy Park, I'm interested in an interview. Just send him my way. Man, this guy's good. Storyboard art? Yes, please. Now, if you're an illustrator watching this and you're seeing how crowded this place is and you're thinking, I gotta get here next year, you need to think about, what is your intentions? Is it to get hired? Is it to sell some products? Is it to inform others how you got to where you're at in your career? Cool, creepy guy in 3, 2, 1. An event that caters so much to students and young professionals, you have to anticipate that you're going to get lots of questions. You look at all these folks just hanging out and illustrating at the Procreate Creative booth. So if you come here thinking that everybody that walks up to you is either going to buy something or try to hire you, what's up, dude? That might not be the best expectation to have for the weekend. Hello, ladies. Why are only ladies waving at me, no dudes? But I think preparing yourself ahead of time and figuring out, what am I trying to do? If you just want to get hired, create a booth that's all about information and realize that you got to give a little bit to get a little bit back. If you're talking to students and talking a big game, creative professionals might cruise by and see how excitable you are about what you do, and that's contagious. If you need to make some money, bring some prints. But keep in mind, a lot of people are just looking around and trying to figure out how to get hired themselves. So not everybody that comes up to your booth is going to buy something. And breaking even at an event like this might actually be winning when you think about you didn't spend any money, got to meet a lot of new people, I got to promote your illustration and your work to both consumers and industry insiders. But coming to something like this and expecting Comic-Con results or MondoCon results or Renegade Craft Fair, Designer Con, I don't think that's what the vibe is like for Lightbox. I would anticipate that I'm going to a big mixer for 3 days where I have a chance to make a little bit of money, but more importantly, make contacts. But I would advise, if you're not a household name in illustration, design a booth and design a way to really stand out. Because as somebody who's been in the art world for a while and is active in this community, I got fatigued on how much a lot of the work just blended together. Little things like lamps or toys or sculptures or books, break it up and just make it feel more consumer friendly. Can you get hired at Lightbox? Talk to some folks that said, and let me clarify, people that have high-level careers, well-known illustrators that are already working at the top level of the industry, definitely said they had Hollywood entertainment type people come through their booth, talk to them, pass over a card, and say, hey, we are looking for world builders. We are looking for character designers. So I do know that it happened. Will it happen for you? Depends on how much strategy you put into your booth and where you're at with your career. How did this one catch my attention? Tom Whalen. Love that banner. Always a sucker for a dog. What's this guy doing? I'm the Redbeard. Claire's style is beautiful. That Jurassic Park print is fantastic. Hopefully I'll see her at MondoCon this weekend.
This is the big room, and there's even more for us to look at in the next room. Let's pop over into the second room. Dog.
I've talked a lot about getting attention and standing out because I know from working in this world that is so important. I thought this booth that actually built a wall, put in their own lighting, framed their prints, it really stood out. For sure, one of the best illustration booths. Let's move into the smaller, darker, carpeted room where it seemed like they put up a lot of the studios. Sony Pictures riding high on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, saw Spider-Man artwork everywhere. These reception ladies were super nice about taking people's information and passing them into the company. Warner Animation Group had their spot where you could talk to them, as well as Netflix Animation. I can tell you with extreme confidence that entertainment industry folks are here wandering around talking to people. You just got to find that way to grab their attention. If you think you got what it takes to do that, then this may be the event for you to put on your calendar for 2020. This next booth is my best in show. I love miniatures. I love modeling. This little structure that they built, this little fantasy land, take me there. I need this to be real. Oh, it was like 2 feet of Disneyland right in front of me. That was my favorite thing that I saw in the entire show. My second favorite thing that I saw was the cotton candy machine, Tara McPherson, and her husband, Sean Leonard. World-renowned headbanger. This is a booth that stands out, feels like a small shop, has lots of Tara's artwork on different items, allowing clients and customers to imagine her work working on any project that they might be shopping for creative talent for. It does seem like, though, that they loaded up a lot of the studios in this front room. And remember, because I believe in fighting for the little guy, we started in the back and worked our way up to the front. So typically, this would be the first stuff that you would see. Oh, DreamWorks. Picture yourself here. Yes, please. People doing some live demos out on the floor. And then this booth. Disney. Not even trying. Not even trying at all. I love that cockiness. Bring a big, giant, inflatable dog, and you'll probably be guaranteed one of the very front row booths. But remember, when you're in the front, people don't want to spend their money right out of the gate. So it normally takes a couple of aisles before people start loosening up that wallet. I thought this artwork was just fantastic. I love that painting above these original sketches. This next booth was the best looking booth. All cut out of cardboard, illustrations, very tactile, very three-dimensional. It matched their product line, had lots of fun things like an iPad inside of cardboard, their imagination detector. Oh, it's spinning. It knows I've got imagination. This clock that they built in the front corner, just really a great booth. Shows how well that this artist's work translate into merchandising.
Best looking booth here.
Imagine coming to this event if you work for a Target or someone in consumer goods. You would say, this is someone that I have to hire. Not only do they understand illustration, but merchandising, which is half of being successful in the retail space. Adobe had this cool little creative lounge where you could hang out, sketch, get some of that inspiration out of you. Only more so proving the point that this is an event that's catered to a certain kind of consumer, a consumer that wants to be you and to have your job, something that you have to think about when you do this event.
Areas for people to sketch if they're feeling inspired. I've seen a lot of people sitting everywhere today sketching. I've even seen friends. What would a convention be without signings? Sweet, sweet signings.
I'm going to say that I was very impressed with Lightbox, how many folks they got out and the level of people that they were able to book in what I believe is their first year. Do I think this event is right for everyone? Absolutely not. It really depends on what your bottom line is, who you are, and where you're trying to get to. From a vending perspective, I think you need to be willing to give a little to get a lot. Aw, look at you. You possibly can get hired and sell some items, but you also have to be willing to be a part of the information desk and pass some of what you know on to others. It truly seems like a give a penny, take a penny type of an event. And if you're a consumer, you have to keep in mind that yes, you want to get hired and you want to learn things, but some of these people are here to also make a living. So you can't overstay your welcome, ask too many questions. You got to let people do what they need to do as well. Lightbox Expo will work for you if you're willing to work for it, if you're willing to put in the time and strategy and go with a good peace of mind on what your intentions are and how not to overstay or overstep your boundaries. If you work for a company that creates tools for illustrators, this has to be a must stop in 2020 because I think ultimately Lightbox supports the industry better than it does any one person or anything else. And that's not a bad thing. I hope you enjoyed my tour of Lightbox Expo. I'll see you again here next year.
Who is Lightbox Expo? And figure out who is Lightbox. And figure out who is Lightbox. Who is Lightbox Expo designed for?
What an idiot. Leave a comment if you enjoyed the video. Please tell a friend and share it. That helps the channel grow and me to justify to do this all over again. Until the next time we meet, good day and good design.